Some people never raise their voice at work. They don't try to dominate conversations. They don't chase approval or demand attention, and yet when they speak, people listen. They're not always the boss, they're not the loudest, and they're not constantly trying to prove themselves, but their presence carries weight. This isn't luck, it's not charisma, and it's definitely not personality. It's psychology. Once you understand how respect actually works inside the human brain, it becomes clear why some people naturally earn it, while others struggle no matter how hard they try. Most people believe respect comes from competence alone, but competence without emotional stability rarely creates lasting respect. The brain doesn't evaluate respect logically, it evaluates it emotionally. In professional environments, people are constantly scanning for signals of safety, reliability, and control. These signals operate below conscious awareness. Respect emerges when someone consistently sends them without trying to force them. That's why respect is often given quietly, not announced, and why people who chase it usually lose it. First, respected people don't over-explain themselves. In psychology, over-explaining is often interpreted as insecurity. When someone keeps adding justifications, extra details, or emotional explanations, the brain subconsciously asks why they're trying so hard to convince others. Over-explaining triggers doubt because confidence doesn't feel the need to defend itself excessively. People who are respected say what's necessary and stop. They trust their words to stand on their own, and that trust transfers directly to how others perceive them. This doesn't mean they're cold or arrogant, it means they're internally certain. Clarity signals confidence, and confidence signals competence. That's why short, calm explanations feel more authoritative than long, emotional ones that try to cover every possible angle. Second, they regulate their emotions instead of reacting. In stressful environments, the human brain searches for stability. When pressure rises, deadlines tighten, or conflicts appear, people instinctively look for someone who remains calm. Psychologists call this emotional regulation, and it's one of the strongest predictors of leadership perception, even when no formal leadership exists. Respected people don't react immediately to criticism, tension, or unexpected problems. They process what's happening internally and respond deliberately instead of impulsively. This creates contrast. When others complain, justify themselves, or escalate emotionally, the calm person becomes the emotional anchor of the room. The brain naturally assigns authority to whoever stabilizes the environment because stability signals safety. That's why calmness often looks like leadership even without a title or formal power. Third, they don't compete for attention. People who chase attention often lose respect without realizing it. Interrupting others, talking over people, inserting opinions into every discussion, or trying to be noticed in every meeting signals a hidden need for validation. The brain reads this as insecurity rather than confidence. Respected people don't fight to be seen. They let relevance do the work. When they speak less, their words carry more weight because attention becomes scarce, and scarcity increases value. In psychology, this is known as signal-to-noise ratio. Less noise means more signal, and people instinctively pay attention to signals that feel intentional rather than desperate or compulsive. Fourth, they separate ego from feedback. One of the fastest ways to lose respect at work is becoming defensive. Respected people don't take feedback as a personal attack, they don't justify themselves emotionally, and they don't rush to protect their ego. Instead, they listen carefully, ask clarifying questions, and acknowledge mistakes without excuses or emotional explanations. Psychologists refer to this as a low ego threat response. When someone can hear criticism without collapsing emotionally or fighting back, the brain reads them as secure, capable, and trustworthy. Ironically, the less someone defends their ego, the more respect they gain, because confidence doesn't need armor. Fifth, they are emotionally predictable. Respect doesn't come from intensity, it comes from consistency. Respected people are emotionally stable. You know how they'll respond under pressure. You know they won't explode, gossip, or create unnecessary drama. This predictability creates psychological safety, and in professional environments, psychological safety equals trust. People respect those they can rely on emotionally, not those who constantly surprise others with unpredictable reactions. Consistency allows others to relax around you, and relaxed people trust more easily, especially in high-pressure environments. Here's something most people don't realize. Respect isn't built by what you do when things are going well. It's built by how you behave when things go wrong. Missed deadlines, public mistakes, disagreements, and stressful moments reveal character faster than success ever will. Respected people don't rush to explain, blame others, or justify themselves emotionally. They take responsibility calmly and focus on solutions rather than excuses. Responsibility without emotional noise is one of the strongest status signals in human psychology because it shows maturity, accountability, and internal control. Another overlooked factor is how respected people handle silence. They don't rush to fill every quiet moment with words. Silence doesn't make them uncomfortable because they're not seeking validation in real time. In group settings, silence often increases perceived authority because it signals self-regulation. The brain interprets comfort with silence as confidence, not awkwardness. People who fear silence tend to overtalk. People who are respected let silence work in their favor. Now let's talk about what silently destroys respect. Trying too hard to be liked, over-apologizing, explaining yourself publicly, reacting emotionally to small issues, and constantly seeking validation from authority figures don't make you humble. They make you appear uncertain. The brain associates uncertainty with instability, and instability erodes respect. Even good intentions can backfire when they signal a lack of internal grounding or emotional independence. Here's the deeper layer most people miss. The brain doesn't respect dominance, it respects emotional control. Dominance feels threatening, but control feels safe. That's why the quietest person in the room often holds the most influence. They're not silent because they're weak. They're silent because they're regulated. They choose when to speak instead of feeling compelled to fill space. Regulation is power, because it means your internal state is not controlled by external chaos. Strong individuals don't let the environment dictate their emotions. They don't let pressure hijack their behavior. They control themselves first, and that self-control radiates outward. People feel it even if they can't explain it logically. Respect forms naturally around those who remain grounded when others feel overwhelmed, reactive, or uncertain. Respect is not something you ask for. It's not something you demand, and it's not something you perform. It's something others assign to you based on how safe, stable, and grounded you feel to be around. If you want to understand why people behave the way they do at work, in relationships, and under pressure, subscribe to Cortex Logic. We don't teach tricks, we decode the mind.